Wow, a big thank you. Our last video has reached new heights that we hadn't reached yet.
Woo!
Wow, mind blown. Thank you so much for supporting us so wonderfully. We got it's almost 3,000 views already. By the end of the day, I'll be at 3,000 views. And then we have 113 new subscribers. Welcome. Woohoo! Thanks for supporting us. And also 250 likes. That's the most we've ever gotten. 1 out of 10. And so, this massaging of the algorithm, it works. Hit that like button, subscribe, and we got a beautiful show for you. This is Diana Robinson. I'm Martin Comtois. This is the Healer and the Dreamer Astrology. And what's our show on today?
Today it's about all of that beautiful ingressing into Aquarius.
Well, we've been talking a lot about Aquarius. Why don't you put up the slide?
Sure.
We've been talking a lot about Aquarius.
And it's not going to stop for a little while.
No, we got one more new moon in Aquarius. So the Healer and the Dreamer Astrology, the inner planets in transits.
So this is a new series that we started just a few months ago. Today we're going to be going about the Mercury, Venus, and Mars and how they all are ingressing into Aquarius. Aquarius being key for inspiration, insight, and intention.
Fascinating stuff, huh? How are you feeling this Aquarian season?
This Aquarian season that started not long ago. I'm feeling pretty excited and optimistic. I've been making some big shifts in my life that feel long overdue and exciting. And that Pluto wrath, I feel like kind of pushed me through to the other side. And so now that the sun's past Pluto, and I'm curious to see how these inner planets passing Pluto is going to affect my personal life and the world at large, because Aquarius, I think, is so much about how we all work together on this earth.
Right.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about, because we talked about the Pluto in Aquarius, and then we talked about the sun in Aquarius. Now we're talking about Mercury, Venus, and Mars in Aquarius. That's, a lot of planet that the moon's going to be in Aquarius too. So, 5 planets in Aquarius, that's called a stellium in astrology. And so, this Aquarian ideal, we fleshed it out quite a bit already. And I was meditating on it, it's like, and especially, what's going on right now. I don't know if you noticed already in the collective, we're starting to feel the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, aren't we?
Yeah.
And the sun's been in square to Jupiter and to Uranus. And the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, it's already starting to rock, so this is going to be interesting. So then all of these planets that are coming into Aquarius will all make a square to Jupiter and Uranus. And so I was thinking about this thing, this paradox we were talking about between the individual and the collective, and this confrontation of opposite that each sign between Leo and Aquarius, the individual and his community, and how Aquarius represents collective realities. It's about groups, and the group that I belong with, where I have an unconscious, I accept the rules of that group, in an unconscious way. The ideals of that group become my ideals, and I become kind of part of the mass, and so we're seeing issues of this individuality versus mass consciousness. And with Mercury, Venus, and Mars following the sun into Aquarius, that's going to be very interesting to witness.
It feels different too, because it's not just, in a way, this happens every year, or in Mars every 2 years. But with Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius, it feels like it feels like we're getting to know Aquarius all over again. It's like a death and rebirth of Aquarius as a myth and as an archetype in general. Like it's completely new in a way. Or maybe new, and or it's like a deepening of the relationship because Pluto is so deep, and now as all these planets hit Aquarius, but they're like crossing a bridge into Aquarius with this deep underbelly present. I think it's going to be new versions of, also in our collective, like new versions of what it means to be sharing this earth together, and new versions of what it means to be trying to organize material around the world or organize energy around the world, and how we communicate and how we share products, and also how we choose or choose not to battle each other.
Well, but
Yeah.
then then you gotta really consider Jupiter and Uranus in that
Yeah.
square, and now Uranus has finally turned direct now, so every planet now is all moving direct, everything, and so you can feel the energy, it's all moving forward, and then now Jupiter's going to move quite quickly, within the month it's going to be on Uranus. So this next, by April, in beginning of April, it's going to be within 8 degrees, and then so we're going to do a video on Uranus Jupiter coming up. That's going to be one of our next videos, but let's flesh it out here.
All right. So it starts with the sun, which happened on January 20th. And the sun will be in Aquarius until the 19th of February. And then Mercury is going to join and go into Aquarius on the 5th. So then it conjoins with Pluto on the 5th as well. And then Mars on the 13th and Venus on the 16th of February. So mark your dates in your calendar, especially if you have anything at the first degree of Aquarius. These would be good dates to watch.
So here's no, let's go back to that.
Start with this?
No,
Okay.
let's go to that. So here's the three mythological, archetypes, the three planets, the three gods. We've got Mercury, who rules Virgo and Gemini. The Caduceus, the Caduceus? Yes, the two snakes and the staff. That's kind of a magic wand, but it's the symbol of the doctor. So Mercurius is the wise healer, and this is all made by the same artist, ISB. Very interesting pieces that I found. And so Mercury, and then Venus and the apple. And I'm going to tell the myth of the apple. Why does Venus wear an apple? Maybe we'll tell that today. And then we have Taurus and Libra, and then Mars with Aries and Scorpio and the sword. And it's interesting, if you see, they're all on the same fort. You see the fort.
Oh, yeah.
It's all the same setting. They're all kind of next together. And very close relationship. They're known as the personal planets. So let's flesh them out in terms of what they feel like in Aquarius. So let's start with Mercury in Aquarius.
Mercury in Aquarius. So Mercury being how we communicate and think and share information, and how, from my more Jungian understandings that are starting, is how we balance or how we communicate the masculine to the feminine and vice versa. Aquarius is a masculine sign and direct and ruled by Saturn. So I could see good discipline with your communication but at the same time, Aquarius is also the how do I say, I guess it's the more Uranian qualities of Aquarius, but it tends to be that which can think outside the box and see the full picture. And so sometimes it's also viewed as a little bit more isolated from my understanding. And so there is that duality of potentially a lot more new insights coming, but then that can sometimes lead to peace, or it can also sometimes lead to a bit more isolation.
So with someone that have Mercury in Aquarius, what would that say to you about that person?
Potential for maybe a bit more like genius qualities, but also maybe a little bit quirky.
Quirky, also very intellectual and probably a little
Yeah.
dry.
Dry, yeah.
Dry sense of humor, you
Maybe
know,
reserved a bit too.
and would have a little bit of a sense of identifying with a particular ideology that makes him feel somehow a little superior. So Mercury and Aquarius, you know, so one would have to be wary of too many ideas, I believe, too strongly in, you know, to consider the opposites, to find a balance between my ideas. That would be the great challenge. But as a gift, one would have a gift to understanding complex philosophies, and one would be attracted. You know, Aquarius is the utopic air sign, so then one would have a very utopic kind of intellectual, airy personality, the trickster. You know, so yeah, dry sense of humor, huh? Does that make sense?
Potentially, yeah. It depend. I think it would probably depend a bit on how it's constellated, but definitely is a general Mercury in Aquarius.
So then that's Mercury in Aquarius, and then Mars is next that comes in. So Mars in Aquarius, what does that feel like?
Mars in Aquarius, so Mars, action, will, the masculine forces of within us. Going into Aquarius, it feels very productive, feels very like potentially hardworking, but also working towards your ideals and maybe working towards the community or the groups that fuel you and inspire you. Bit of humanitarian work too comes up in my mind.
Absolutely. What would someone born with Mars in Aquarius, what would that feel like?
Maybe born with Mars in Aquarius, so acting out of their intellect, but also acting out of their like hope for their ideals. I could see the counteraction of Mars and Aquarius even being a bit more concerned about integrating the opposite, because Mars can be so fast acting and maybe neglecting what the ideals do to the individual.
Yes, one would be, the warrior would be an Aquarian warrior, so it would be the place of activity.
Think of a social media warrior.
A social, you know, so it'd be very socially engaged ones, you know, enthusiasm in community. You know, you'd be the kind of guy that would, you know, do everything to prepare for the meeting in the Aquarian meeting, right? So then the Mars and Aquarius. So then we're gonna have Mars and Mercury in Aquarius. Good time for gatherings, huh?
Yeah.
And again, that Mars and Mercury will all make square to Jupiter, Uranus, so we're liable to see more of that revolutionary, Jupiterian, Uranian kind of need to break through as we get ready for that Uranus Jupiter conjunction. So then that's to watch. And then Venus in Aquarius.
Venus in Aquarius seems different. Venus being a feminine, like relating to our inner feminine, and Aquarius being idealistic, but also inspired and inspiring. Could see a tendency maybe for Venus to be quite inspired by ideals, but maybe get a little bit picky. A little bit, yeah.
Well,
I'd say picky potentially.
yeah. Traditionally, you know, Venus is not so happy in Aquarius. She's very happy in Leo, right? Yeah. Look at me, I'm so beautiful. In Aquarius, what do you mean the attention's not on me? You know, it's like you guys are way too idealistic for me. What about my beauty? What about how, you know, what about our relationship? You know, what about the individual? So Venus in Aquarius, that's a little more troublesome. How would that be experienced? What would a person with Venus in Aquarius be like?
I don't know if a person that had a situation above my head would be like wanting that attention, but maybe your partner is always doing work in the community or for the sake of the world. And so there's a conflict between asking for what you want and need, and then also knowing that the attention that you're not getting is because it's going towards the collective, which is good too, but not getting your personal needs met.
Well, way too idealistic. So then when we have Venus in Aquarius, then we tend to really like gatherings and social, but I need to really balance my Leo needs, become really primary. So where's the sun? And what's the rest of the chart say? But in Venus, there's a beauty of ideas because Venus rules Libra, which is also an air sign. So Venus is comfortable in the realm of ideas. It just has to be about me more. And so finding a way to make it more about me or not to sacrifice my personal needs for the Aquarian ideal. So then with Mercury, Venus, and Mars, and then we have a Venus-Mars conjunction in Aquarius.
Coming together, the feminine and the masculine. And it's going to be square Jupiter in Venus at the same time.
And Uranus, yeah. So what would that potentially feel like?
I could see that have it like bringing new insights and understandings to how you want to operate and how you want to give and receive love and show up in partnership, not only intimately, but also in the community, like what you need from your community and what you want to give to your community and finding new relationships with your community.
With the Sun and Mercury and Mars all in Aquarius and Pluto in Aquarius also, and square to Jupiter, Uranus, the concerns for collective ideas could trump my personal Venusian needs to relate in a beautiful and creative manner. But if I can make the effort to be creative, then we can kind of dissipate the tension because we can feel already, it's like it's end of January and already feels like it's been a long year. And then the madness is ramping up, like whoa, even more intense than last year, and it's just getting started. So this Aquarian ideal, and reasoning what we're doing and taking the time, and we're going to flesh out for you Jupiter Uranus coming up. Does that make sense on the Mercury, Venus, and Mars? You got any questions about that?
No, I think that was a good flesh out. I think we didn't really speak to how that it might be impacted by Pluto. So what would you say is like some of how those things are going to be impacted by Pluto?
Well, that's the collective, right? It's the need for transformation. It's the facing of our destiny and being asked to give a voice to our ancestral, talents and issues and traumas and rage, so then, with the sun, so it definitely flavors the whole experience in that each of the planets, as it enters into Aquarius, makes a conjunction with Pluto. It's like they're all getting their marching orders in terms of what their mission is in service to the Great Mother. The Great Mother being, Pluto being the sacred, the devouring mother, or the Kali, the mother of it all, the grandmother or the great grandmother, in contrast to the moon, which is the personal mother. And so then that, and then all of them making a square to Jupiter Uranus as well. So then, there's a lot there to consider. So I think that in our psyche, in our process, I think there's a lot, thinking things to do and making sure I'm in alignment with what is my true purpose, as expressed by my destiny, my fate, which is expressed by Pluto. Yeah.
Yeah. And one piece that came to me through that was also like this old phrase of you're always exactly where you're meant to be and connected, and the people in your life are exactly who's meant to be. I feel like there may be shifts in people's relationship to each other or groups or whatever big shifts that you're feeling called to in life. Or even just, it's not even that your life's changing, but how you're perceiving your life is changing, and being really honoring of the groups that we're with, and making sure you're staying true to yourself in that. But
I did an I Ching reading this morning. I'm going to start sharing my I Ching readings, but it was talking about just realizing that these are difficult times, and that if you're true to yourself, and if you're patient, and you just wait out your time, because right now pushing forward is not so easy. So, allow things to unfold, be patient, especially with that Jupiter Uranus, there's like, wow. And then when Mars, Jupiter square, there's going to be like a need to act, and we need to act, but in a very controlled and diligent way, remaining true to yourself. Really important. And I think that that's, the better part of Aquarian wisdom is to know to be true to the ideal. It's just, what ideal are you going to be true to? Somebody else's ideal or your own? And with Pluto being in Aquarius throughout the next 20 years, we're going to really visit that, huh?
Yeah, well, yeah. Thanks for sharing.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Beautiful.
Let's look at some dates.
All righty. The three gods as they shift into Aquarius season. Fun time to pull out your chart if you've got it handy. So like we said, on January 20th, the sun entered Aquarius, and then it conjuncted Pluto at 0 degrees.
On the same day it entered.
Mm-hmm.
Then the Mercury-Mars conjunction was on the 27th.
I think this is the same day too that Uranus went direct.
Yes. Then Mercury enters Aquarius on the 5th of February.
Making its conjunction with Pluto the same day.
Basically, that's also Imbolc. So, and the beginning of the year of the dragon. So Mercury in Aquarius, we should see some shifting of energy, much more engaging Mercury versus, slow moving Mercury in Capricorn. And then,
yeah, things will pick up with that shifts into the air signs, hey?
And then that Mercury-Pluto conjunction on the same day. Then on the 13th, Mars enters Aquarius and conjuncts Pluto. So you want to keep track of those things.
And then on February 16th, Venus enters Aquarius, meaning that it's also going to conjunct Pluto.
The next day, on the 17th.
Oh, at 1. So by that point, Pluto has moved to 1 degree of Aquarius. Interesting. And then on February 20th, Venus and Mars have a conjunction at 5 degrees of Aquarius, and the sun will have just moved out of Aquarius by that time.
And they're both coming into square with Jupiter at that time. So these are the important dates.
The one I would say that we didn't add in there that we'll do a video on is the February 9th is the Aquarius new moon.
Yes, that's going to be our next video, and lots more to do on that. One thing is, we've been getting a lot of comments about our sound, and we found a button. So we want to know if the sound's better. We think it is.
We hope it is.
We hope it is. And then Diana's been working on projecting her voice. And so let's work on that. And please continue to give us some feedback. And let's do the last slide.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that's been coming out since we're becoming so popular is that people are asking, do you guys do readings? So if you're interested in the reading, astrology, dreams, and individuation, You got the spirit of the times 108@gmail.com. I also on Facebook and on YouTube, of course, you see in the video. And Diana does, what do you do, Diana?
What do? I do holistic nutrition consultations, but I've been working with cellular information through tissue salts, as you see on here a bit. I've been a student of astrology for 10 years. I've been doing plant medicine mixed with astrology and some energetic tools too. So based around nutrition, but I have a lot of other things I bring to the plate once we see what you're needing.
Now, after that bit of shameless self-promotion, that's how we support our channel. We've been really working hard, and we've been doing this for 3 years, and then this last year, and then I just got my first reading from a viewer. So it's slow building, but we're coming along, and all of your inquiries are so gratifying. Your presence is really appreciated, and without the viewer, this is not really, without the individual, this experience, this Aquarian experience is only a very interesting display of I don't know,
Self-expression.
Leo energy. It's creative. Anyway, how do you feel about it all?
Good. I want to caveat that piece. As much as I want to be taking on clients right now, I don't actually have the time or space until spring. So message my time for readings, but I unfortunately can't take in any new clients at the time.
Okay, yes, actually, you're on a great journey, and so we'll make those announcements when we're ready. So am I. It's going to be a busy year. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Over and out. Happy Aquarius.